Hello there everybody, my name is MPAP and this is the introduction to my Mike Tyson's Punch-Out High Score Single Segment tutorial. The aim of this guide is to provide you with the information necessary to play at a consistent level in order to complete fights with the highest amount of points possible. Through this guide you will learn more about the opponents throughout the game, being able to go for the full 9 minutes on each fight while using some obscure tech and knowledge that is not seen in the speedrun. A typical completed high score run can take up to 90 minutes of your time, and with so much RNG throughout the run, having consistent strategies and quick decision-making skills will be an invaluable asset. One of the main differences between a high score run and a speedrun of this game is that you are allowed to take a loss. For instance, if you lose to Super Macho Man, you'll be sent back to Don Flamenco 2. In this case, you will need to erase your Don Flamenco 2 score and Mr. Sandman's score, and input your new scores as you fight your way back to Super Macho Man. Obviously, if you feel like you had a bad Don Flamenco 2 or Mr. Sandman, you can intentionally take this loss to try again. One caveat to this rule is that if you game over, the run is over and you cannot continue. There are two ways to game over. The first is losing 3 times in a single run, and the second way is losing to Mike Tyson. At no point during the run are you allowed to use the clock stop glitch, even if it is performed by accident. If you perform this glitch in the run, I think it is fair that you may continue, but you have to take a loss on that particular fight. Don't worry, I'll have a video explaining the clock stop glitch and how to avoid it. After you have defeated Mike Tyson, you add up the 14 scores from each of the individual fights, and the total is the score you will submit. It should be said that this guide is most definitely not the end-all, be-all of strategies that can be used in a high score run, and I encourage anyone interested to look for new methods to consistently score points. Many of the fights in this guide will be on par with the individual level world records, but there are some fights that have been specifically routed for an IL world record, and this guide will not cover those types of strategies. Dealing with your opponents in high score is trickier than just watching their pattern and reacting accordingly. When fighting your opponents, you will have to get used to not looking at them and look at more valuable information that is presented on screen. Firstly, there is the amount of stars Mac is holding. Getting and using stars will usually be the most effective way to score points, but their efficiency will vary from fight to fight and even in the method you attain them. Typically, landing star punches will be the most effective way to score points per unit time and could also be the most efficient per unit damage dealt. After a certain amount of star punches have been used, opponents will begin to dodge them. Fortunately, there is a way to reset the opponent's ability to dodge, and this involves keeping track of how many star punches you use and reaching 3 stars in the bank. I will be making a separate video explaining how this is done. Hearts are Little Mac's stamina, and they are another bit of information you will need to keep track of. You are deducted 1 heart if you get blocked by the opponent, if you block an opponent's punch, or if you whiff a punch. You will be deducted 3 hearts if you are hit with an opponent's punch, as well as lose a star if you have any in the bank. When your hearts hit 0, Little Mac will turn pink and cannot fight back until enough of the opponent's punches have been successfully dodged, and this number varies from fight to fight. Also, in some cases, this will cause a specific pattern change in the opponent, which I will dub the pink pattern. If you get knocked down, the number of hearts you get up with will be determined if it was Little Mac's first, second, or third knockdown, as well as the count you get up on. It sounds like it's bad to lose any hearts, but you will need to use up hearts in order to maximize your chances to score lots of points. You may need to force your opponent to block to delay his pattern, completely run out of hearts to activate their pink pattern, reset their pattern, skip over an attack that depends on the clock, or just to let them recover health. To the right of your hearts is Little Mac's health bar. At full health, Little Mac has 96 hit points. Knowing how many punches Little Mac can take before he gets knocked down will be very important, and this will be used with the information I will give you on each fight with how much damage each punch deals to you. You probably won't keep track of the exact amount of health Little Mac has, but you will get used to estimating it. Little Mac can also recover 4 hit points at a time if his health is low enough. This can be done by landing stun punches that deal 5 damage, delayed punches, gutters, and intercepts. Little Mac has a soft cap at 16 hit points. What I mean by this is if Mac is at 16 HP, and you land a hit from which you could recover from, Mac will not recover the 4 HP. But if Mac is at 15 HP, and you land a hit from which you could recover from, Mac will recover to 19 HP. The opponent's health bar will also be another key thing to keep track of. Like Little Mac, your opponent's full health bar represents 96 hit points. You will want to manage how much damage you are dealing and their current health in order to score the most amount of points. Also like Little Mac, your opponents can recover HP when dealing damage to Mac, if their health is low enough. All opponents have a soft cap at 32 HP except for King Hippo, Don Flamenco 2, and Mike Tyson. King Hippo has the soft cap at 16 HP, while Don Flamenco 2 and Mike Tyson have the soft cap at 48 HP. Your opponents will recover 4 hit points per hit they land on Little Mac. The timer will also be extremely important to keep track of, as high score runs require good time management. Knowing when an opponent's pattern changes or when they are about to do a move that is dependent on the timer, such as Bold Bull's Bull Charge or Piston Honda's Bonsai Attack, will be necessary. Of course, the decisions you make will be very situational, and you may have to make a quick decision to run your hearts out, speed up the opponent's pattern by cancelling punches, attempt to skip a timed attack, or even just to let Mac get hit. You also want to land the most amount of punches possible, and this can mean battling with your opponent until the final seconds of round 3. Lastly, there is the points display. Whilst this is the thing you are trying to maximize, it will probably be the thing you look at the least due to it not really determining which actions you should take. It does, however, have great importance during the fight with Glass Joe, and I will explain why in greater detail when covering that fight. The points scoring works as follows: 10 points for a regular hit, 110 points for getting a star, 500 points for landing a star punch, 1010 points for getting a regular knockdown, and 1500 points for getting a star punch knockdown. You do not get any points for any double hits that occur, which is when your opponent and Mac hit each other at the same time. Oh yeah, I should mention that there are hidden crowd cues which can be very helpful when dealing with some of the opponent's special attacks. They can be viewed at these 3 crowd members. I won't go into how they work here, but they will be featured in each of their respective fight videos. This concludes the introduction of my Mike Tyson's Punch-Out high score tutorial. Next up, I will be explaining the clock stop glitch and how to avoid it. Thanks for watching.